Hey guys, welcome to my guide on spiritual creatures. Before we start, there's a button underneath all of my videos that opens up the timestamp side panel, and I've also listed all my Slayer guides in alphabetical order in the description. Let's start with the basics. When you're assigned spiritual creatures, there are three types you can kill. First are spiritual rangers, which require 63 Slayer. Second are spiritual warriors, requiring 68 Slayer. And finally, spiritual mages, which require 83 Slayer. Most players choose to kill spiritual mages. They're the most popular because they drop dragon boots, and many Ironmen even use wild pies to temporarily boost their Slayer level in order to kill them earlier. Fighting spiritual creatures is very straightforward. You want to use a ranged or melee setup while wearing all four gods. Then simply activate the protection prayer that matches the creature's attack style. So if you're killing a spiritual ranger, use protect missiles. If you're killing a spiritual warrior, use protect melee. And if you're killing a spiritual mage, use protect magic. There's also a stronger version of spiritual creatures found in the ancient prison of the God Wars dungeon. Players like killing these creatures because their drop table is significantly better than the regular versions. To access this area, you'll first need the frozen key, which is obtained by defeating each of the 4 God Wars bosses. You'll also need to wear one Zaros item, which makes all the monsters in the ancient prison non-aggressive. There is one important difference between the regular God Wars spiritual creatures and the ancient prison variants. The rangers and warriors occasionally use a special attack, which happens roughly 1 out of every 10 attacks. The attack is easy to dodge, and most players kill them so quickly that they rarely even get the chance to use it. For the spiritual mages, simply bring super restores and anti-poisons. At the bottom, I listed the most optimal setup against each spiritual creature. Hopefully that helps with your strategy. Now let's look at what a typical task might look like. If you're killing the normal spiritual creatures in the God Wars dungeon, ranged and melee are usually the best options. With base 85 stats and decent gear, a task typically takes about 45 minutes. If we switch to the Wilderness God Wars dungeon, it's a similar story. Ranged and melee are still the most optimal setups, but keep in mind that you'll be risking around 300 to 400k in gear and supplies if you get PK'd. In the ancient prison, all combat styles perform well, but against the warriors, magic is nearly 50% faster when using fire spells. Now let's build a God Wars dungeon setup, starting with ranged. The most important rule is that you must wear all 4 gods in your gear: Armadil, Bandos, Saradomin, and Zamorak. If you're killing spiritual mages in the ancient prison, you'll also need a 5th god item for Zeros. The easiest way to build your setup is to follow 2 simple steps. Step 1. Start by equipping your god items. These are shown on the left side of the chart. Items highlighted in green can represent any god, which gives you extra flexibility when building your setup. Step 2. Once all your god items are equipped, you can fill the rest of your gear using the expensive columns first, then the cheap columns. If you're going to the Wilderness God Wars dungeon, the strategy changes slightly. You still need all 4 gods, but you should never risk more than 3 valuable items. So the process becomes, first, choose 3 valuables from the expensive columns, then fill the rest of your setup using the cheap columns, while still making sure you have all 4 gods equipped. One final warning for the Wilderness: do not bring untradables, like a quiver or assembler. If you're using wilderness weapons, never bring more than 3,000 ether, and if you're using fast weapons like darts or knives, don't bring more than 1,000 ammo. Building a melee setup follows the exact same process. You still need all 4 gods equipped to safely enter the dungeon. Start by equipping your god items on the left, then fill the rest of your gear using the expensive columns first, then the cheap columns. If you're going to the wilderness, choose 3 valuables first, then complete your setup using the cheap gear, while still keeping all 4 gods equipped. And again, avoid bringing untradables like a defender or fire cape, and don't add more than 3,000 ether to your wilderness weapons. Building a magic setup follows the exact same process. You still need all 5 gods equipped to safely enter the ancient prison. Start by equipping your god items on the left, then fill the rest of your gear using the expensive columns first, then the cheap columns. All of these gear setups come straight from the NoBS OSRS calculator, the ultimate tool for Slayer. Test out different gear setups and see outputs like DPS, resource estimates, and task times in real time. You can easily see what untradables you can bring for a Slayer task. I created thousands of custom teleport maps for easy navigation to any monster, and things like attack mechanics, location requirements, gear recommendations, all condensed down into as few words as possible. If you're interested in trying it out, you can click the link at the top right or in the description below. Now that your armor is set up, we're now going to prepare for the Slayer task. You can click the timestamp button at the bottom to find your desired location. Let's go over the God Wars dungeon. A couple things I should mention. When you reach this northern passage, turn on protect missiles to protect yourself from the thrower trolls. Second, If this is your first time going to the God Wars dungeon, you must speak to the Dying Knight just west of the entrance. Then, using a rope on the hole permanently unlocks it for future trips. The fastest way to get there is by teleporting with any Gommel's Hilt. You can also use a Trollheim teleport, using this agility obstacle, then entering the passage. You can also teleport to Troll's Stronghold with a portal or stony basalt, and if those aren't options, you can use a game's necklace and teleport to Burthorpe, equip climbing boots, then run through Tenzing's house and take the long way to Trollheim. Once you climb down, you'll be right in the center. The spiritual creatures are located in the southeast corner. If you're heading to the ancient prison, enter through the southern doors, then head slightly east to get to the spiritual creatures. Here's a useful tip. After killing about 8 spiritual creatures, you can enter the room to the east to use the bank. You can deposit your Armadale, Bandos, Saradomin, and Zamorak items and switch into better gear. Inside the ancient prison, you only need to wear one Zaros item to make all the monsters in that area non-aggressive. Before we get going, I highly recommend setting up your quick prayer and rune light settings, and I provided examples that you can follow. And here are the inventory examples. These setups are for the God Wars dungeon, and these setups are for the ancient prison. In the text boxes, the items labeled in white are required, while the ones labeled in pink are optional. So here is the in-game example for the God Wars dungeon and ancient prison. I'll start at the top of Trollheim Mountain, that way I can show you when to use Protect Missiles, but just follow what I'm doing. Turn on Protect Missiles as we round the bend, and click north into the passage. If you use the Gommel's Hilt teleport, it brings you into the passage past the thrower trolls. You can turn off Protect Missiles and move the boulder or use the shortcut. Run north and use Protect Melee as you pass the wolves. After the Making Friends with My Arm quest, you can build the fire to negate the drain effect in chilly areas. But climb down. You can speak to the Dying Knight west if this is your first time. The spiritual creatures are mostly southeast. Use your stat boosting items and the optional prayer regen potion, activate your quick prayers, turn on auto retaliate, and choose rapid or aggressive styles on your weapon, then just kill them one by one. If you're killing spiritual mages in the ancient prison, it's also very straightforward. Drink your stat boosting potions and the optional prayer regen potion, drink your anti-poison, activate your quick prayers, turn on auto retaliate, and choose rapid or aggressive styles on your weapon, then just kill them one by one. Here is how to kill the spiritual ranger. It uses ranged, so we use Protect Missiles. When it does its special, its arrow will turn orange. Just walk a tile away to dodge the blast. Here is how to kill the spiritual warrior. It uses melee, so we use Protect Melee. When it does its smoke cloud special, walk back a few tiles to dodge it. I highly recommend using the Runelight plugin, customizable XP drops, and copying the settings shown on screen. This lets you see your predicted hit based on your magic XP drop. Since magic attacks have a delay, your character can sometimes cast extra spells on targets that are already dead. Using this plugin helps prevent that, and can save you around 25 to 30% of your runes. Now let's go over the Wilderness God Wars dungeon. The fastest way to get there is by using a Wilderness Obelisk if you have the Hard Wilderness Diary complete. Another fast way is by using a Cemetery teleport. You can also use a Dariak teleport, or you can use a Burning Amulet to the Bandit camp. Once you enter, you can take any of the passages to enter the dungeon. You can find the spiritual creatures in the center, and I highly recommend killing the Zamorak variant because their defense is about 25% lower than the other gods. Before we get going, I highly recommend setting up your quick prayer and rune light settings, and I provided examples that you can follow. And here are the inventory examples. In the text boxes, the items labeled in white are required, while the ones labeled in pink are optional. Now that we're all set up, let me show you an in-game example. Let's go ahead and enter the dungeon and take either passage. Then enter the crevice to enter the main area. The spiritual creatures are near the center. Use your stat boosting potions, activate your quick prayers, turn on auto retaliate, and choose rapid or aggressive styles on your weapon. Only thing you have to do is top up your potions and have your mouse hovered over your one-click teleport. If you turned on player indicators on Runelight, you'll see their name on the minimap and you can teleport immediately. And that's everything. If you found the video helpful, please leave it a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any thoughts or suggestions, let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.